Greg, are you there? There we go.
Now I'm unmuted.
Now we're good. Nick Rumor.
Sup? Can you hear me?
I gotcha.
I think you gave us the ability to speak, but you didn't make us panelists, so we can't turn the video on.
How do I do that?
I have no idea.
I was like, who's this voice in the back? I was like, I didn't even see it was you, Greg.
Trey's got a weird setup here. So
I know. I've tried it before and I've failed dramatically.
promote to panelist. There we go. Promote to panelist. Promote to panelist. I'm figuring it out, guys. Give me a second. I'm not an IT guy like Trey. Trey has a team of people, okay? I don't.
And actually,
There we go.
There
Good
it
afternoon,
is.
everyone. How are you?
Sergio.
so
All
all right. Well, now that you've let me in, I appreciate it. I actually need to jump. Just had
Ouch.
something coming.
Ouch. Okay.
Hopefully I'm back.
Yeah. No, it's
See
all
ya.
good. Now that I know how to move people into the actual room here, we'll be good to go. What's up, man? How's it going over there?
All well here. So now we're looking where Trey is rather than looking where you are.
Dude, I don't even know where Trey is at this point, man. He's got his RV. He's going around the country right now.
You look like I don't have you ever done this? Like this is like a dream.
I did growing up. We had an RV growing up, so we used to go on like 3-week road trips and stuff. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, just let your kids be part of it.
Oh yeah.
Don't shush them away.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I don't. If we're gonna do that, I mean, I love that when they were, because I think he might still be in DC, but yeah, what they did there, I mean, Jesus, he was sending me pictures of that. That was phenomenal.
You know what I thought, right? You know, where he was sitting, I was like, he was having breakfast, and I was like,
Mhm.
I thought that would always be mob, there would always be people. There was like no one there.
Yeah. Well, you know, that one little thing that's going around called COVID, people are, not wanting to do that. So
I was actually checking on that point because I was like, okay, when can we go over to the US? So we had a board meeting the other day, and we were like, okay, let's go and see.
yeah.
But we now have this Delta Plus, I don't know what it's called, variant that's coming from India. So we're not even allowed into the US.
Really?
Yeah, you guys are not allowing us in. We're on the red.
Don't say you guys. It's not all of us who feel that way.
Probably, yeah. I don't know who sits on that throne, but like, yeah.
Yeah, not this guy. I can guarantee you that. I don't sit on that throne.
And not the people in Texas. They don't give a.
Dude,
backside, right?
Texas, Arizona,
nothing
Florida,
there.
man, we're all on the same page on a lot of those states. So yeah, it's been crazy though, man. It really has. So like, are you guys in like lockdown?
No, so what was we had this magical number which was called, I think it was either the 19th or the 21st of June, which was this magical number that all restrictions were going to be lifted. That was it. You know, that was like back to normal, no masks, no nothing, back to normal. That's now been postponed for another 4 weeks. Well, I don't see and in 4 weeks' time, there's still going to be some. Like, it's not going to be like a full just lift off of everything that was there before. That's not going to happen. I think we had 35,000 new cases in 1 week in the UK. Of course, we're not that big, right? And everything is like centralized around London.
Yeah.
You know, here in Scotland, we've got cows and sheep. You know, so I don't know. Like, I don't think it's coming from there.
Maybe. It could be. You never know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know, man. I just
you don't know what people do when they're drunk. I know that. But
yeah, I just got a microphone and a fucking backwards hat on, man. That's about all I got. Coleman Ruffin, what's going on, buddy?
Dude, it's been a while. Haven't seen you in forever, man.
I know. I was on last Friday for a little bit.
Last 2 Fridays I've been at weddings, so I mean, I'll take it.
Okay,
Apologies for missing.
Putting that on me here. Like, listen, How's
two-way street, right?
How's Colorado going, man? Are you guys burning up too? Arizona's on fire, like literally and figuratively on fire.
Dude,
So
it's been great. Well, last week was super hot here. Today, I think, is going to be a high of 80, so it's perfect. But I was talking with a buddy of mine that lives in Scottsdale, and he said last year was a record in the area of, it was like 40 or 70 days over 115. I can't imagine that. Oh my God.
Coleman, you know why? It was my first summer in Arizona. Like there has to be that. Like just like my air conditioner went out my first summer in Arizona in July. And then it was I don't want to say it was like over 120 days of over 100 degrees in a row. Like there was no reprieve. And like, dude, even last week it was 119 degrees every day.
What about the humidity though? Because like to me, dry heat, I can handle dry heat, no problem.
You say that.
I was gonna say, I'm the same way, because if it's humid, it's worse. But once you get like 105 and above that, like I feel like you can't even go outside anymore.
So what's 105? Sorry, like this is again this stupid Scots.
Yeah, sorry. We have the other, not Celsius scale. Fahrenheit is what we're talking at. And it's like
105 was like 35, 40?
46.
46
is 115.
So okay.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, that's hot. You're right.
yeah. Okay, that's you get there, because like my brother-in-law lives in Dubai, and like we go all the time, and like I love that heat. Like 35, 40 is like I don't mind that. But then right now it's like over 50. So that's like what? If that's like 115, like 120, 125 or something.
122. I'm doing the calculations this week.
I was like, Coleman, you're a genius. I can barely add. How are you converting that?
So like he's like, no, but like he's like, look at this. So he's got his webcam on. He steps outside on his balcony and it all steams up. He's like, nobody can do this.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go outside, right? Like
no.
Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, the best way to put it is it's like in the dead of winter walking outside with a t-shirt on, like it's just how cold it is, it's just miserable. That's how it is in the heat, like it's miserable. You're not out there running around and everything else. You go house to car to store back home, and that's it. And but I will say this, it's a lot easier to tolerate when you've been through it. So now this year I was, it still sucked, but I was like, all right, I at least know what this feels like. And then the craziest part of it was on Tuesday of this week, it rained all day long. There was over an inch of accumulation. It was 80 degrees. So put it like this, it dropped 40 degrees pretty much overnight.
Jesus.
Yeah, 120 to 80, and it was phenomenal. Like I walked in the rain. I'm like, this is great. This is like the 8th day of rain this year.
I was gonna say, normally you see people inside sheltering when it's raining, but in Arizona, everybody's out walking. No umbrellas, anything. They just love it.
I know. Aaron's in Pennsylvania. Like, oh great, it rains 9 months out of the year here. Sweet.
Yeah.
I know how you feel. Is that why you've got like? Is that why you have the verandas and stuff, Eric? Because at least you can still sit outside.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I would love a veranda, man.
Yeah, they're great when it's like 85 with a slight breeze, but when it's 119 with a breeze, it's just like fucking sticking your head in a microwave, Like it just amplifies it.
It never gets that hot in Pennsylvania, though. So
you guys are you guys have a lot of humidity in Pennsylvania?
I think so, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like wet.
See, that I can't do. Like Nick, like you were saying, dry heat I'm all about, but I'm the kind of guy that I sweat really easily. And when I lived in Chicago, it could be 75 degrees, but really humid. And I walk out and I'm drenched. And I was like, oh, gotta go change. Sorry.
Yeah, and then someone will ask you, Coleman, does it rain?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. I'm just soaking wet. Everybody else is fine. Like, oh God.
That's funny.
They do say this, right? They always say, like, yeah, but you get used to it. So I've been living in Scotland for like 10 years now. You don't get used to it. Like rain is not my thing. It's beautiful. The country's beautiful. Yep. It's still wet. Like it's.
Where in Scotland are you?
Aaron?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Do you get used to it, the rain?
What?
Do you get used to the rain?
Oh, yeah, because, and I will take it over snow any day of the week. So it sometimes when my son has missed a whole week of baseball because of rain, I get a little irritated, but overall, Pennsylvania.
There you go. Now, Erin, are you from there originally, or did you move there?
No, I've been here for a very long time.
Okay. All right. And you're right outside of Pittsburgh, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, about half an hour north of Pittsburgh.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
I like it.
Nick,
Coleman's.
where are you in Scotland?
Yeah.
I know.
Where?
Where? Yeah.
Yes.
It's happy hour for Nick right now. He's been hitting the pints a little bit. What? Yeah, I am in Scotland.
And I'm near like St Andrews.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
So
Yeah,
like
that's small unknown golf course in Scotland.
Yeah, you might have heard of it. Who
Yeah,
knows?
may or may not.
the Women's Open is currently being held in Carnoustie.
Nice.
So it's a bit busier than normal right now.
I love it. Diana, your video is on. What's up?
Yeah, not much, man. How's it going? You're taking over for Trey.
Just for today, I'm taking over for Trey.
Chris is like, I don't want that responsibility.
Yeah. Trey's
See,
got
I'm living his best life. Hi.
Yeah, Trey's got a lot of rules for this. You know, I gotta jump through 17 hoops. He's like, "What should our topics of conversation be?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just like to talk. I usually just yeah.
Are we
Chris
allowed to
up.
talk? Is like talking shit about Trey on topics of conversation?
Oh yeah, that's fully. Trey knew what he was getting into when he asked me to host this. He knew everything was on the table, or else he wouldn't have done it.
Hey.
Hi. What are we eating there? Is that a snack?
No, it's empty.
Oh, I'm hungry. What should we have for a snack? Do you like string cheese?
I like peanut butter.
Oh, there he is. What's up, Raquel? This is awesome.
So I actually, today I quit my job, y'all. So
Whoa.
Whoa.
I was like, fuck this place.
Well, congratulations.
Oh, sorry, kids. Don't repeat
Yeah,
that
you know,
word.
fuck. Did you contact Shay?
I'm sorry,
Did you
Kyle?
contact Shay?
Shay? No, I didn't. I thought she was gonna message me. I didn't want to bug her, but I'll go ahead and message her.
Yeah, just message her because she's like she rocks. She's awesome.
That's
So,
awesome, dude.
Diana,
Yeah.
what are you looking to do next?
Yeah, honestly, I'm just looking to. I don't fucking know, man. It's hard. I'm sorry. Don't repeat what I say, children. Don't repeat what I say.
This is the most-
Parenting 101.
I know. This is awesome. Because like I have a kid, I've done the exact same thing right there. Don't fucking repeat what I said.
I know, and then I go and repeat it. I hear him say like, "What the hell?" all the time, all the time. Even when he doesn't think I'm not listening, he'll be watching a YouTube video and he's like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "What are you doing? I can't even be mad at you."
Who
because
taught
it's
you
my
that?
fault.
Yeah.
I can't be mad.
Your husband must get blamed for a lot, I'm assuming. Don't talk like that in front of your kids.
Okay, first of all, I'm married, y'all. I'm married.
Oh,
Woo!
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But-
Okay.
No, nothing against marriage. Nothing against marriage. We're just nah.
The first thing I heard was if you like it, put a ring on it. That was the first thing that was me told. So either put a ring on it or you walk away. One of the
There you go. No, it's cool. But yeah, no, I'm open right now. I do best in like customer facing positions because I'm a people person. When it comes to like work and
Yeah.
stuff, and then I'm like an ambivert.
Yeah.
You guys know what an ambivert is. You have like a certain amount of like extrovert in you, and then like at the end of the day you're like an introvert.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Well, there's somebody on this call who, is very connected with a lot of job searching by the name of Coleman Ruffin. Always be in contact with him. Hi, how are you?
Kids also don't let you breathe.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Wait, go sit down. Wait, how come? Wait, how old's your kid, Dolly?
He is going to be 10 in 2 weeks.
He's gonna be 10.
Hi.
Dang, you doing anything fun for it?
Hi.
Yeah, we're taking him down. Well, he's with he's with us right. He was been staying with his grandma and grandpa because they live on the ocean. So it's like, he's got his
115, send him over there.
Yeah, exactly. He gets to hang out with his cousins every day as opposed to listening to me talk all day long. So it's good to get him out of the house and, enjoy his summer break. I think we all remember those times growing up, like how great it was to go spend a couple weeks with your cousins and everything else. And
heck yeah.
So we'll be going down in 2 weeks for his birthday. We're going to rent a, I don't know, it's like a little banana boat style thing. Go cruise around, and we're gonna get a little palapa on the beach for a couple hours and just hang out. So
heck yeah, sounds fun.
Grandpa owns a pizzeria, so Grandpa's gonna make a bunch of pizzas for us, and yeah, it's gonna be great.
Hopefully my invite's in the mail.
Yeah, it is. It's with Trey actually. So if we can ever figure out where he is,
That's always the thing. If family owns a restaurant, so like my in-laws own a restaurant, so every birthday, every Christmas, it's always done at the restaurant because it's easiest to get all the people like round.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you have the industrial sink for dishes. Like, how great is that? That's my favorite part. All right. So Trey does have an agenda he wants me to follow for this.
Okay.
So
let's just knock this out of the park really quick, and then we can get to the fun stuff.
We've all established that we don't know where Trey is. So, but obviously you guys are working, we got Aaron working from home. Everybody's working from home. Coleman, you're going to be able to provide a lot of insight into this with what you're doing in recruiting right now. So like, what's the vibe out there from an employer standpoint of working from home or bringing people back into the office?
Yeah, at least a lot of our clients in higher level candidates that we've spoken to are starting to hit that transition point of going back into the office. Offices are starting to reopen and everything again. And a lot of people have been struggling with it. It's more often than not, companies are going into somewhat of a hybrid model of, hey, in the office for 3 days a week, work from home for 2, and kind of use your discretion on whatever is necessary. Now, from a new candidate perspective, specifically in some of the 1 to 5 year mark or so, sales reps, things along those lines, they're demanding, hey, if I'm going to be making a job switch, especially with how hot hiring is nowadays, I want to be able to be 100% remote, come in if I want to. And that's one of the biggest things that's been a struggle for people bringing on that right talent is, hey, we still want to be building a culture and building our office. It's hard to commit to 100% working remote, especially as things are opening up.
Yeah. I got to launch this poll. Hold on. Because this one.
So there was a poll with this.
Yeah, there is a poll. I just realized it. That's my bad again. But no, I mean, like it's I don't know. Working remote for me is I need people. Like I need to be around people. I don't mind it. Obviously, with just working for myself right now, I kind of have to.
We can't click on anything.
Yeah, you have to do something, Jolly.
I did.
There's like a tiny button somewhere.
Yeah,
this is Trey's
for host
fault.
and panelists.
Yeah, remember I done this wrong, and then Trey was talking about me on the call.
Oh yeah, Trey.
That one?
Trey's great at judging. Okay.
There's one that's beside it that says like, "Let panelists vote."
Yeah, that's not on this one. So the funny thing is Trey created said poll, so that's on Trey. I clicked on polls and it said launch poll, and I did, and so let's just ask it.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're gonna find the questions.
We're going to remove Diana from one. She's already left.
I already left.
But is that a deal breaker though? Is that a deal breaker for anybody you guys know? Obviously, you don't have to mention them. Is it if I'm not able to work remote, I'm quitting?
To be honest, it is like as Coleman is saying, like from my like, because I'm still doing two. Like I'm still on one side I'm doing cybers, and the other side I'm still doing all the kind of commercial office like design stuff, and that's big right now. Where like I just done a big job for EY, like they're global, so like they came out with their global like report, but then you try to create something where people want to come back to, because everybody's saying they don't, even if they don't want to. It's just trying to create something where people want to go. I would say as well, as much as I like this, the Zoom and stuff that we're all doing, if we would sit in one room together, that would be so much more fun.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I miss. That's the thing I miss the most. Like a great laugh, a handshake, and like a pat on the back, whatever it is, like that.
What will you be drinking, Nick? You gonna bring like the liquor and shit? Like,
there she is.
Yeah.
There she is. Love it. Diana's like, who's bringing the booze? Fuck these handshakes.
Well, I care about.
Well, I'm here in Scotland, so like I can bring the whiskey. It's no problem.
Yeah.
There we go. I like it.
Good.
I like
I'm on
it.
my way.
So what do you guys think? Is this going to be a trend where over the next 5 years it's going to be we're like it's just a remote workforce, or do you see a complete hybrid model? Like I personally think that when I start building my team for my company is I'm going to offer a hybrid model, because I think that there's going to be events like, hey, because like what Nick's talking about, we're going to need to collaborate. I want that. Let's all hash this out on a whiteboard style conversations. But I'm also of the mindset where if I tell you things are due Tuesday at 4 p.m., I don't care where you submit it from as long as they're submitted. So, yeah. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Somebody just voted somehow.
Somebody must be in the waiting room.
Oh, there is an attendee in there. Meshach.
Spoken from experience.
All right. I'm bringing Meshach in now.
That's what it is.
Now he's not going to be able to vote.
So I think that that this is exactly what I wanted 2 years ago, was the work from home flexibility.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that. And that's why I left, because I was promised such a thing. So I think that it's necessary, as everyone is so busy in their life. We've got to find that work-life balance. Maybe it's not an actual even scale, but there's a balance there, right? And I think that the opportunity the fact that we know that it's possible, we just did it for a whole year, that companies have to be flexible and understanding that now you can't just take that liberty and that freedom away from us.
Do you think it was inevitable? The only thing I think has happened is society just excelled 10 years. It was always going to happen, but rather than waiting for 10 years very slowly for this to come round, now COVID just literally pressed a button and now we just need to and get on with it.
Yeah.
100%. At my former employer, this is 3 years ago at this point, we were already talking about where we were in the office every day, but we're like, hey, we can be just as effective at working from home. Can we do 1 day a week working from home? And it to your point, that was like the starting point where I recognized, and then COVID happened. It's like, okay, I think companies are actually starting to understand that. And like everybody was saying, I think a hybrid model moving forward is going to be extremely key, not only for attracting talent, but just keeping the people happy that are currently there. Because I agree, though, I personally would love to be in a room with everybody and talking, but if I want to work at home on a Friday or whatever it is, I think that companies need to be able to adapt to that.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. We're going to skip question 3 because will working from home become an option for most options? We just kind of covered that. But this is a good one. Question number 4 is how is this going to affect their pay and benefits? Do you think from an employer standpoint, they're going to be like, well, listen, you're not commuting anymore. You're saving potentially. How do we pay you less? Do you think that's going to be a thing?
I don't think that's fair. I mean, you're still doing the same amount of work for the employer. Just because you're not traveling that shouldn't take away healthcare benefits or coverage.
Mm-hmm.
The opposite might be true, because you're saving the business money and they're like, well, you're going to save us, 10%. If you're going to be working from home in a job that you can work from home, you're going to have more expenses at home. Like in Minnesota in winter, my heating went up because I was home all the time. There are some factors to that are going to change the economic models.
Yeah.
How did they do that now? Like so here in the UK, for example, this is the thing now with the kind of working from home. Every employer actually is legally obliged to arrange a proper place of work. And if that means, like, for example, like having like a good seat, that your employer needs to legally provide that. And if you're working from home and that's not been arranged, that actually you tell your employer, I need a chair. But how is that, for example, as you say, Mishak, we've got, like, now I'm using my phone, I'm using my own power and data and whatever for, like, do you get does your employer pay for that? Or
so I've had that ability
That's
to
right on.
expense my cell phone and internet at home for the entirety of my career. Like, my bosses in my career have actually said, yeah, just bill us for it, because if you're utilizing it for work purposes, I don't know if it's a law, but that was, at least where I've worked, that was an option to do it. Now, whether you chose to do it or not, because I think, like, at my first employer, there was a set amount where it's like, hey, if your cell phone bill is $100, you can expense 50% of it because you don't use it for 100% work per se. So I've had that, but I don't know. Are people going to be willing to do that? Because, you also got to look at it from your employment contract standpoint. Do they own that cell phone then if you quit? There's a lot of language that's written in there that you have to protect yourself from. It's just like in the non-compete, non-solicit world. Do they have access to your records at that point? So I don't know. I personally, if I worked for somebody, I would rather just pay for my own stuff or have them provide me a work cell phone that they have control over.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a law here by any means, but to your point, I think that a lot of companies are more receptive to that. And for example, our company, we don't have a company cell phone, but we're utilizing our phone for work purposes and working from home. So again, they outfitted us with a desk, a chair, to your point, Nick, a computer, and all of that fun stuff. And then we have a monthly stipend for our cell phone. So it's like a little reimbursement thing, but yeah, no visibility over that at least.
I think that's better, because so I've done both. When you're walking around with two phones, which is a nightmare because certain individuals know you personally and professionally. So which one to do phone and so I made a decision at some point to say, just keep your phone. I'll just keep my own one, and then just reimburse whatever, the minutes or whatever it is I'm using. Yeah. So I think that's better.
Yeah.
Like for my
100%. And we always walk around with too much crap anyway. Who needs to have two cell phones at any given time?
I mean, that's the guys who walk around with two cell phones keep their ear pods in the whole time too. Sure. I have ear pods, so I'm ripping on myself technically.
I was gonna say I've got them too.
But I don't necessarily talk to anybody. I just have them in so people don't talk to me. Like,
love it, Aaron. That is a great idea. I love that. Do you think this creates, now with the hybrid work model, does this create the opportunity to hire outside of the United States? Do you think that it's going to be more on a global scale from a candidate pool, or is it not going to happen? I mean, I don't know. Like, it's from my perspective, like, again, I don't care where my team is as long as they're producing, if they want to work, because I'm an early morning person. So if somebody's like, I need you to work at 3 a.m, that's fine to me. Like, I don't mind getting up early at all. If you would ask me to work late at night though, like I can't do it. I'm in bed by 8.
I'll take those minutes.
Yeah, but and Nick, that's a prime example. Is you and we've talked about this. You excel like from 4 p.m. till midnight. Like, that's when you're fully awake. So it's like, I think that it's an opportunity that should be explored from a mass scale.
I think that's much more likely to happen than companies being as much of a hybrid model or off-site model as we're thinking right now. And the reason is because the data, it didn't look good pre-COVID, and the data doesn't look good during COVID because you can't separate all of these other things that people were dealing with. So it's whatever's going to show up over the next year and a half, where the companies are pouring over their productivity data and being like, it's just like it was in 2018 and before, where people are actually not as productive as we think they're going to be. They've got too many distractions outside. They're not collaborating as well, or that wow, somehow people have adapted to this new normal and they're being just as effective. But with outsourcing, we know we can do outsourced work, and you have all the advantages, the financial advantages. So even if they're not quite as productive, doesn't matter.
Yeah. And it also depends kind of on the role and responsibility, right? If you're in sales, it's a little bit hard to be located in China or something if you're selling to the market in the United States. But, software engineers, product managers, things along those lines, 100%. Like, why not, right? If it's not something where you need to be customer facing with somebody at 2 a.m, which might be a little bit hard. But yeah, some of those other roles, yeah, moving outside the US, definitely.
Okay. All right. The $1 million question, number 6. Is the government forcing the hand of employers to pay more by extending enhanced unemployment benefits?
Oh my God. If people send out one more freaking check, people need to go back to work. I'm over it. Over the greediness. I'm over the laziness. I mean, my kids are lazy, but they're kids. When adults don't want to go to work because they're getting a paycheck.
Yeah. My short answer to that is yes. Now, again, all depending on the type of role, responsibility, things like that. But in our little downtown right down the street from us, these restaurants are struggling so hard to get anybody to come in and like, hey, they're closing down for 3 days out of the week because they can't staff it for whatever reason. So especially in something in like the service industry, 100%. I mean, they're either going to have to cut off all of that unemployment stuff, or the service industry businesses are going to have to up their pay, which is, again, going to have a trickle down effect in terms of what we're paying for food and all that.
I think that they struggle with because like I said previously, like my in-laws own a restaurant, and like as you said, Coleman, they've struggled. They've really struggled. Without the payouts that they got, they would have not survived. Yeah. But on the other hand, I've seen people literally just leaning back and physically telling me, why should I go back? I get all this free money right now. Yeah. And that's what they call it, free money, which it is.
Yeah.
So again, I don't stand for that, because who's paying for that at the end of the day?
Yeah, right? I think it's interesting because in Minnesota, we actually have even more than the federal. The state is even giving more. And I've heard people talk about these same problems in Minnesota, but I know multiple small business owners and like people who own restaurants, and they're all saying like, oh, it's super easy to hire people right now. There's tons of people looking for work. I think that people, like the companies that are complaining about this, that are getting covered, are companies that have probably they're just not great places to work. And there are so many other companies that are hiring that the good companies are not having a problem. And then we're hearing all these news stories about the companies that are having a problem, but they're the ones that places, but they don't have to go there yet because they're looking all these other places are hiring. So there's this big hiring boom. And so maybe we're misinterpreting that data and hearing the wrong, just like one part of the story that's skewing our perspective, because based on like what I'm hearing from actual business owners, they're like, oh, it's great. It's easy right now to find people.
I wonder from that perspective, I think when they were forced to close, that's the part where the funding was that was like key for them. Because they were forced to close. Restaurants were one of the last ones to open here in the UK, here in Scotland. And then after, they were only allowed up to I think it was 8 p.m, but with no alcohol. And where most of the money was always made here was like alcohol, like the percentages of like profits. So therefore, like for them, it was quite like, they were able to get staff, and that wasn't the issue that they had. For them, it was more actually the times they were able to open was just not good enough because they were getting restrictions put in place. So I think, we can't wait until this final gate, like everything being lifted. But people are cautious still.
Mishak, I wonder if that's because, obviously being from the Midwest, Midwesterners have that work ethic, that maybe that's why, because like out here in Arizona, I know a couple of people who own small businesses, and they're not having trouble finding people to apply. They're having trouble finding people to show up to the job interview. That's where it is, because and I think a lot of it depends on the stipulations that kind of come along with it, is because in the state of Arizona, you have to show that you've applied for a certain amount of jobs to continue to receive additional benefits from that. So like they'll like
That's
it,
very
and
same
my
way.
my buddy put it like this. He says like 80% of the candidates who apply won't even respond, and they respond to everybody to have them come in for an interview, and 80% of them won't even respond to it. So it's interesting, you know, like I go back and forth on this, you know, I really do, because I don't think that somebody like, I think we're focusing on such a small percentage of people who are taking advantage and gaming the system, that's what's getting all the coverage. And now to Meshach's point, yes, some of these companies that are struggling to hire historically have probably treated their staff like shit, and it's well known that's why they're not getting anybody to come in the door.
Like fast food restaurants.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Is it's like
Mhm.
I don't know. It's an interesting take, and I just don't think that somebody would sit back and lose 50 to 60% of wages by collecting the $600 a week or whatever it is coming in on unemployment when they can get $1,500 a week working for somebody, you know, unless they're got a rich mom and dad or family member who's funneling and paying for everything. They don't have any debt. I don't know. But again, I think it's just like with a lot of the argument out there on the social assistance. I think we're talking about such a small percentage, but it's very appealing to the masses of people saying, oh, they're all lazy, they're all this and they're that. And I'm sure that and I know that there are a lot of people out there who are probably like that, but I don't think the overwhelming majority are taking advantage of it. I think it's the opportunity, like being from a small town in northern Wisconsin, there's not a lot of opportunity out there for long-term employment. Yes, you could find a job that might pay you $16, $17 an hour for a little bit, but you don't want to work there long-term because there's no growth. There's nothing. It's like you're just going to be a machine operator and press a button.
It's a fine balance, you know,
Yeah.
and like in America, and the boom of for a lot of people that people look at as like, this is a great time to be in America in some ways, at least, was those 50s where there was actually more labor influence on what they got paid, and there was a little bit more power there. And you know, we a lot of economists have been pointing out for a while that we've got a lot of underemployment, you know, and or people that are working too much, and so they can't even take care of their kids. And it's you know, Betsy Stevenson had a really interesting interview with Ezra Klein where she talked about, she's like, actually, I think I mean, like, I don't think they should have had that extra $1,000 check put out there. That was too much. But a lot of what we're doing is we're actually empowering the workers to have a little bit more control, and prices will go up. And yes, we'll all pay a little bit more in some ways, but the economy on the whole will do better because there will be more consumers that won't be struggling quite as much. And it's actually a little bit of a market correction that's just unintentionally happening. But there's a fine line there, right?
Yeah, and
I agree, guys. I agree. Sorry, I don't mean to like jump in, but I think it also has to do with people are starting to recognize their worth, and now they're not going to tolerate like bullshit wages when they're going out there to, you know, to find a job or whatever the case may be. I mean, look at what GameStop did during like the beginning of the pandemic. They fucking claimed they were an essential business and had their employees still working, you know? So I think it just kind of like just revealed how like shady companies, you know, really can be. And I think people are just starting to realize their worth, and you know, they're not gonna like, but they're just not gonna take low ball offers.
That's a fine line to flirt with there, though, because a fresh college graduate with a bachelor's degree in business and no work experience is not worth $75,000 a year. You don't have the developed skill set yet. Just like when you're working at a fast food restaurant, you're not worth $25 an hour. I'm sorry. That's not what the skill set applies. I think people now who were underemployed realize that, okay, maybe I can make more money doing something else. And now, like when we all like the remote work opportunities that are out there for people, now they're like, oh, I can get a little bit more money and stay home every single day. So I think it's a lot of things that are coming to a head right now. But I think that people need, like, you got to realize what skills you're bringing to the table, I think, first. And it's like, I don't think that a lot of people are worth as much as they want to think, because they talk to their neighbor and their neighbor's like, oh, I make $100,000 a year doing this. That's not, you're not.
I think that happens every generation. So I've had this when I was hiring, like 5 years ago. This girl came on and she was literally like 1 year out of university. And the things they said at the start, what they wanted to do, I was like, okay, well, but everybody kind of starts at the bottom of the ladder. You can't climb, you can't start halfway. And I felt like I never asked that question. I knew I needed to prove myself when I started. I don't know if that's a generation thing where every generation will say the same thing about the new generation coming through. I don't know, because I know my mom and dad was saying, well, when we used to work,
back in my day.
Yeah, exactly. We had 3 jobs. So yeah.
Raquel, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so very interesting. I love this dynamic. I have a different point of view on this. So my husband was a paramedic, where they're extremely underpaid, right? 15 years on the job, saving people's lives on the front lines. He never made over $20 an hour. 12-hour shifts, 12 to 16-hour shifts, forced overtime. Now he's retired from that and he's looking at the job market, but we're in a position that if he takes a full-time job, then we have to change our dynamic of our insurance. Our health insurance is also, it's more beneficial for him to take a part-time job than it is for him to take a full-time job for us. So the system is also set up a little off kilter in the fact that, I mean, I don't know, Chris, if you have your own insurance, but I just switched. The Affordable Care Act just happened. I guess just came through. I went from having company insurance, paying a couple thousand a month, to going to personal insurance based on our income, paying hundreds a month. And it's saving me a lot of money, but it's really silly. And I'm scratching my head at why am I being incentivized in this way to not strive and to not do more and to not be more of a productive person in the society.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually really interesting too, because if we're even taking it back to the whole unemployment thing, it's like, okay, what does the insurance look like, if they're getting any, if they're paying for it, or does that come with anything like unemployment? So it's another lever that we're looking at in the whole scenario.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing that I find interesting is that, you talk about service industry people shouldn't be paid as much. And at the same time, when we compare it to like a period of time where it made sense they weren't paid as much, there were a lot less service jobs. There were way more small restaurants and way more small little places that were providing foods. The chains have kind of swallowed up a lot of that business, and then there's still those people that need work. So I wonder about like if you look at the actual numbers, they're like, well, now there's way more people that have to work in this business. How maybe that thinking is wrong, because if all of these companies start taking over jobs and absorbing jobs that were better paying at one point, and then people pay less, and then we're trying to pay more people less, like at some point something's going to give, right? And I think we all have to be really just looking at the data and listening to really smart economists and saying, you know what, we have to let go of our judgments and our anecdotal thinking and just go, what is going to work, and sometimes it's going to challenge us in ways that are uncomfortable, but you know what, the data is what we got to count on when it comes to the economy. And that's why I think this article, this great conversation, which is titled the Take This Job and Shove It economy, where like she's like a really geeky economist, and obviously she's working for a Democrat right now, but regardless, I'm very much a centrist, and she has some really interesting conversations about how the economy will be better in ways that can make us a little uncomfortable about the fact that we are paying people more necessarily for jobs where we feel like, well, that's an entry-level job. Well, for a lot of people, it's no longer an entry-level job. It's how you get by because the economy has changed. The jobs have changed.
Yeah. I just, I'm all about helping everybody out at the end of the day. I just don't want to incentivize somebody to not do something, and that's my big thing, is because I feel like there are so many opportunities out there for people to explore. I think like right now it's opening up people's abilities to try a new job that they may have wanted to in the past, but there wasn't any opportunity. And now there's time for them to do that and explore out other options to pursue their true potential and their true happiness. And I'm all about that. I just don't ever want to see somebody not go after their potential because there's a way for them to not do something. And I know, like, again, that's such a small percentage of people that gets magnified on the grand scale. And I just think that we're in a position where we're arguing about something that we should be educating our youth on from a young age, like, financial literacy and everything else, because like paying somebody more money doesn't make them more able to pay their bills, because if they have shitty financial habits, that's just going to amplify them to a point. It doesn't teach somebody how to balance a checkbook. And I use that because like when I was in high school, we had accounting, like we learned how to balance checkbooks. We knew what a credit card was. We knew what interest was. And then when my sister graduated, she was 3 or 4 years after me, they eliminated that program from school. So I think teaching financial literacy and teaching that needs to be brought back into it. I don't think like sending a kid out there, and I'm speaking from my own experience in college, like it was my own ignorance that I took out more money. Like I didn't think for 5 seconds, like, oh, maybe an extra $4,000 for beer this semester is a bad idea. 18-year-old Chris loved that. But 35-year-old Chris is like, you're an idiot, So I just want to see more of an emphasis on that to make us a stronger economy from that regard too, because I think it's going to help people deal with the ebbs and the flows, and not how many people out there that are facing evictions and everything else because they don't have the money to pay their rents and their bills and everything else. I think like, when you look at it from a debt aspect as well, like we got to work on that. Like we got to fix that, because maxing out your credit card, buying that $800 a month car payment and living at the top of your budget doesn't help you retire. It doesn't help you go after things.
How is this in the US? So this thing, when I was still studying in Holland, this was a big thing, and now it's coming to light only just now, which I think is like absolutely ludicrous. Where, as you said, you're 18 years old, you're able to make the decision to get like 4 or 5 grand or whatever, but like just like that, no problem, just a click of a button. I can't remember how I done it, very easily, no questions asked. And now you're like, I'm 38, 39. You want like a first or a second credit card, $500. That's it, because you need something, and you're not able to get it. But you're earning whatever it is, $100 grand a year, but you're not able to get a $500 credit card. But when you're 18, oh, no worries. You want to borrow another $500? Yeah. Of course, 10,000, whatever you need.
Well, that's the economics of it are clear, though. They went out ultimately to sign up people early because of loyalty. So it makes up for those initial losses. I have 3 things that I wanted to say real quick, Chris, about what you were saying about the really fascinating studies on people who deal with poverty or are underemployed or like they struggle with money. They people point out how they giving them more money isn't going to make them spend money in smarter ways. The behavioral studies is actually that they do, because what happens is a lot of people spend money that they shouldn't spend when they are really close to the bone, because they're so stressed, they're so worried all the time that they're basically just trying to stimulate their parasympathetic nervous system, reward themselves, make themselves feel better, because they're dealing with that stress. So it's actually not as irrational as we think it is. It is ultimately going to create more stress, but in the moment, the brain doesn't register that, and it's really hard to manage. And if you pay people more and they have less insecurity, they actually spend less, more efficiently, generally speaking, because they don't have to deal with the stress as much. So you can actually improve people's spending habits, and they did a study recently where they gave people like free money, basically one of those universal basic income kind of tests, and they actually found that they saved more than they thought they would, and they actually got better jobs, and it's one of those things that's irrational and yet like predictable. Same with the thing, and these are, I'm not saying these are, like total rebuttals, but just things to think about. And then the two other things, the two examples on both sides of the aisle about like, I never want to incentivize somebody who will kind of game the system. Well, using that same logic, and some of my more liberal friends, they talk about how like a criminal should never be able to get away with certain things. And I'm like, well, we have a legal system that is designed in such a way that we would rather like let 100 people go free than one person who's innocent. And so you kind of have this lossy system because the ultimate outcome is better. And for the opposite side of the spectrum, people are concerned about like, well, there's few people like, that are taking advantage of public services, but they're actually really, really low. And if you drop things down to the point where nobody can take advantage of it, like you basically, the 99.99% suffer, whereas that 1% maybe doesn't get to game it, or 0.1% I think is actually actual number. So I think it's one of those things where we just deal with this messy yet predictable world that we don't have easy answers. And when things are working well in politics, you've got two sides of the aisle that basically stop with the, like, well, it should be easy, and get to the point where like, oh, what are you willing to give up to make this work? And when you have to do that, then you actually have those hard conversations like, yeah, this is complicated. That's my...
Oh yeah, when you're dealing with people, it's never easy. Yeah. There is never this is the answer 100%.
For sure. Yeah. I think though that, if we all realize, like in my opinion, the sooner we all realize that we're all pawns in the top 1%'s master chess game that's going on. Cause like, we all know, like there's like 10 to 15 people who control like all the wealth in the world, and we're all just being dangled with essentially. And
I'm going to show up with my tinfoil hat next time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to bring that. But no, I mean, I just think that there's some core fundamental things that we do need to fix as a country, like, because this is, in my opinion, the last spot on earth that you can truly make something of yourself from nothing. The cards aren't stacked against you. You can go out and start a business with a laptop in the middle of a pandemic and start a business and do that, So it's like, that's what I want. I guess I want people to realize the value of hard work and like, and what you can put in and make something for yourself. And, I just want to see people, win, really. Like that's my thing, I guess. I just want to see people win with this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I do too. However. I have no patience or tolerance for anyone who's unwilling to do something for themselves. And I am famous in my family for when we go down to Pittsburgh, say, and we're just walking around, and there are homeless people that are there, and they are like, they want money. And I say, McDonald's is hiring, because there are jobs everywhere. And I know some of those people, they psychologically can't. I get that. But the ones that can and are not should.
Well, overwhelmingly, the people that are in that situation, it's I forgot what the numbers are, but it's overwhelmingly mental illness is somehow involved. So it's again,
no, I know. But for the ones that have, there's nothing wrong with them except laziness.
But the thing is we like the way carrot and stick is a fallacy. Carrot and stick was that whole theory came from studies during the Industrial Revolution, where people were doing very simple things. And positive psychology shows that actually what drives people, like if you have a complicated job, you cannot do carrot and stick, because both actually reduce productivity. The carrot and the stick both do it, because they're not driven by do better. They're driven by meaning. They're driven by purpose. They're driven by like social connection. And so like, if we want people to like pick themselves up by the bootstraps, we have to like forget like the disproven. It's literally been 7 decades since like carrot and stick has been disproven. And yet a lot of us still like think that way. I think that way a lot of times. And I have to remind myself that the studies show that the best way to get people to be productive is to give them a voice, to give them meaning, to give them an opportunity to like have some control, autonomy over their job, to not have to worry about surviving. All of those things reduce productivity. And so like, if we want to have high productivity, it's got to be more like the 50s as far as like affordability of living and ease to make money. And then you have a hyper productivity community without thinking like we have to make sure that people work hard in some direct way. It's like my dad says, like a lot of life is when you, like a motorcycle, you come around a corner, you see a pothole, immediately look for the path forward. Because if you look at the pothole, you steer towards the pothole. And I think that life is like that, where we just like, the problem isn't where the solution is. The positive outlier is where the solution is. The path to success, that's already there, that somebody's already figured out, is the way forward.
I gotta jump, everybody. Nick's the host now. I gotta jump. I'm gonna leave this on though, because I don't know if the recording's gonna stop at all.
Drew will be on you if that's the case.
I know. I'll have to click back in and end the meeting in like 4 minutes though. So
yeah.
All right. Have a good weekend, you guys.
Yeah. So like the other thing, like the way you said it, Meshach, is like when you're driving a motorcycle, they always say like, you need to look forward, like ahead of the turn, rather than right in front of you, because if you look right in front of you, you go straight ahead, which is like, and that's a funny thing. One thing I wanted to, like, completely different from this topic that we've been discussing for a while, something came up yesterday on the news here, right? And I was absolutely shocked, which was about Amazon, which, like, Amazon is having a massive boom, right? Like, the big warehouses that are getting built, like all over the globe, not just here in the UK, like America, everywhere. But one thing that shocked me that I heard yesterday, and there's one close to where I live, like a big warehouse, is overstocking. And what they're doing with the overstocking of, like, products, and brand new laptops, iPhones, whatsoever, actually get destroyed. And
what?
That like, it wasn't the news yesterday here, and that really, really shocked me. It was like, they showed it, and there was like this guy that went on the cover, or whatsoever it all was. He said, yeah, they get like products, and then they get labeled, and on the label it says destroy, because there's like too much stock, and because it's not being sold quick enough, that needs to get destroyed to get new stock in.
Send them my way, I'll sell them or something. Jeez.
And Amazon warehouses, brand new, like, stuff, like from laptops to phones to like whatever it is.
Jeez, that's insane. They need to hire some better people in their supply chain then, like, to get their planning out.
Because we were talking about this, how Amazon is like, with the whole supply chain, of course they've got their own like bubble, but I mean, like, this is kind of like not really doing this sustainable circle that we're all trying to create. So I was just wondering if anybody heard about that, like, going on in the US, or is it just a UK thing that we're not as good in our supply chain as we think we are?
I was going to say, I'd be shocked if it wasn't the case here too, but they definitely haven't publicized it at all, at least to my knowledge.
No, it was the first time I heard it yesterday. So I was like,
yeah, that's insane. Jeez.
I'm sure the powers that be, is that the phrase?
Yeah.
At the corporate office in the US is probably looking into that for all the distribution centers here, all around the United States, to see if that is happening, because I bet it is. If somebody had an idea over in another country, it's not going to take long to filter over here.
Do you know how they're destroying? What are they doing with them?
I don't, like, I was trying to, like, I only caught the last like 10 minutes of it. I'm gonna try to find again. When I find it, I'll see if it's like a recording or online, and I'll post it. Let you guys know, because it was mind blowing when I saw it. Like, it just said destroy on the label, and whether it was just like, shredded, or that just go to landfill.
I mean, as an Amazon employee, and this sounds shady of me, but if a brand new laptop got passed to me that said destroy, I'd be like, I mean, I'll take it. Like, oh, I destroyed it. It's just at my house now or something. I feel like that's
these days when I was working as a teenager and like in the supermarket, and you used to get this stock that needed to be, destroyed, which is like old cookies which are out of date. Like all this stuff needs to go in the bin. You scan it, because like you get like money back from the manufacturers or whatever it was. I used to stand there at the bins and stuff and just like eat half of it before I used to go back into the store. So
I mean, why not?
Was that Jolie off?
Must be.
He's out.
Yeah, he's out. guys, for me it's 7 o'clock here, so my wife's created dinner, so I'll better shoot as well. If Jolie already left, then but I'll try to find that link and let you guys see it.
And I put the link into that other article in case you want to watch.
I saw that. We'll watch that.
I'm excited to listen to that.
Yeah, and it was always a pleasure to see you. As always, you're welcome to join us for a third Thursday every third Thursday.
I need to catch one again. It's been a while. Yeah.
This next one's gonna be good. We're gonna have Eric Stolhansky from Super Troopers on. Do you know Super Troopers?
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Can't pull over anymore.
Yeah. He's already pulled over all the time.
I love it. Well, hey, have a good weekend, everybody.
Yes.
All right.
Ew.
Take care.